This week, Illusione's IPCPR lineup will be covered. A big name departs a big company, and an FDA update. So stay tuned. Welcome, everyone, to Stogie Geeks News. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian, broadcasting live from G Unit Studios in Rhode Island. On the lines via Skype is Mr. Will Cooper from North Carolina. What's going on, Will?
Hey, Paul.
I am happy to be here on news covering the Illusione IPCPR lineup. They've got quite a few new cigars, as do most manufacturers. Of course, I looked at the Illusione Connecticut, and that caught my eye because they have not made a Connecticut.
No, they have not.
And some of
No,
their
they
stuff
have
is
not.
pretty mild, and I'll smoke it in the morning. There's this little Robusto. It might be in the Epernay line, I think. Maybe not. But there's a little Robusto that I used to like to smoke in the morning, too. It's good. But it'd be interesting to see what they come up with.
Absolutely. It was. This was an unusual year for Dion company because normally he doesn't go crazy at IPCPR, but this year was significant. There was a lot that he had on the plate.
So you get the Haut Ten?
The Haut Ten, and that is his 10-year anniversary cigar, which he had told me at the 2015 show that he was going to do a 10th anniversary cigar. So this is it right now. It's a Nicaraguan puro, featuring a Cafe Claro Corojo wrapper, which he's used on some other cigars. He's described it as a mild body cigar, but complex, with more Seco, lower priming tobaccos, which I think that's been Dion's forte.
Yeah.
Is he takes these lower priming tobaccos and he's able to build some very flavorful blends. So it's a one size 5.5 by 52 Robusto Extra. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a more premium offering at $15.95.
Yeah, that's pretty pricey for a Robusto.
Yeah, it is. That is.
But he's hit some home runs with some of his blends. So
I mean, his track record is really, I think, underrated right now in the industry of what he's done in the last 10 years. Just great ratings, a lot of top tens. He's had a couple of cigar of the years from people, so it's he's hit a lot of home runs.
What's next in his lineup this year?
Another new blend, the Illusione Garagiste. So the Garagiste is, from what I understand, it refers to a group of winemakers from Bordeaux that produce something called garage wines, which basically it sounds like a bunch of renegades. So this is a little bit of a renegade blend for Dion because while it's using Nicaraguan tobaccos from the Agrinorsa farms that he's known for, he's using an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, which is something, the Habano, that type of leaf he has not used up until this point. And that's going to be a 4-size line. Short Robusto, 4.25 by 48, a Robusto 5 by 50, a 6 by 52 Toro, and a 6 by 56 Gordo. So this is going to be a little more of, from what I understand, it's going to be more medium to full on this particular cigar.
Excellent.
Yep. So a couple of other new blends. These are the ones, probably, Paul, that's going to interest you. First, Ecuadorian Connecticut Shade cigars by Illusione, and these are Rothschilds and Gigantes Connecticut's. Same sizes. It's going to be the Rothschilds, the 4.5 by 50. The Gigantes, a 6.5 by 56. Connecticut Shade wrapper, all Nicaraguan tobaccos. Coming out of the Casa Fernandez Tabsa factory, which Casa Fernandez this year has really been making more Connecticut Shade blends, which they haven't been known to make before. So these are going to come in the same 50-count boxes as well. So I think these are going to be, especially that Rothschild, that's probably one of Dion's most successful cigars to date.
So, I see. The Connecticut's are packaged in all 50-count boxes?
Yeah, in 50-count boxes.
Sweet.
Which is how the Rothschilds have been. And they've had no problem with people ordering those 50-count boxes. And I know people bought the 50-count boxes of the original Rothschilds.
That's the one I used to smoke in the morning, was the original Illusion Rothschild. It's not an Epernay blend. It's a different blend.
Right. It's a different blend. So, like I said, Dion has not released a Connecticut Shade cigar before. So I think it's I think it was a natural evolution to do it. Because he's done that Epernay, which has been more of his milder cigar.
Yeah.
So this is interesting what he's doing here.
Yeah, with Ecuador and Connecticut, Nicaraguan fillers in binder, that should be. I'm looking forward to this Connecticut a lot. Probably on the tops of my list, especially in that Rothschild size, which I like from him, 4.5 by
I
50.
I think they're already starting to hit the stores too, so I think you'll start seeing them.
Sweet.
Yep. Cruzado, which is
Cruzado comes back, right? This was
it never went away, but it's just been a line that's been
yeah.
I think it's one of the hidden gems in Dion's line. And if you talk about what he's done with his lines, he tends to work with Corojo and Criollo tobaccos. And the original documents, which are the original Illusiones, are more Corojo heavy, and the Cruzado is more Criollo heavy. And I've always loved the Cruzados, but now it's getting some new packaging. It's getting some new. It's being streamlined to 4 sizes. And from what I understand, I think there's been some slight change. I think there's been a wrapper change to it as well, where it is now going to, instead of that Criollo wrapper, it's going to have a Corojo wrapper. So again, it's a Nicaraguan Puro with that Corojo wrapper. 4 sizes: short Robusto 4.5 by 48, Robusto 5.25 by 50, Gordo 6 by 56, and the Churchill 6 3/4 by 48. The Churchill's made a comeback this year for sure. A lot of people doing Churchills.
Yeah, I had some really good Churchills lately, actually.
Yeah, a lot of Churchills. That was, I think, very hidden story this year at IPCPR. Amount of Churchills that came out.
You get a lot of smoking time and a lot of value out of a Churchill if they smoke right.
If they smoke right, yes. And I tend to like them a little shorter. I tend to like that 6 3/4 by 48 is kind of right in my
Yeah.
sweet spot for
Yeah.
Churchill, not going to the 7-inch mark. I like getting a little less of that.
Yeah, and a little thinner ring gauge. With you.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's see. So he's got an Ultra line extension.
2 new Ultras, yep. He's added a couple of Parejo sizes in there. The OP number 3, which is a 4.25 by 50. The OP number 8, which is again that short Churchill 6 3/4 by 48. This is Dion's powerhouse. This is a very strong blend. And I tend to. He released one called the OP number 7 last year, which was a Gordo, a 6.5 by 58, which I think was the best size of the Ultra. I actually thought this cigar smokes better. A lot of people like that. I know Stogie Santa
loves that MK Ultra.
To me, I always liked I never did it for me.
I just think it packs too much punch in a little cigar. I think you're right. I want to try it in a larger ring now that you say that.
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, so Ultra is going to have some new sizes. One of them is going to have a limited packaging size, which is the OP number 3. Those little short Robustos are going to be in a special one of 48 count boxes. So there's some pictures I think we have on there. It look pretty cool, that packaging.
Now his next one, the Fume de Amor,
Yep.
is this the one that we smoked in a Lancero size? Is this coming to Lancero?
Yes. Last year they released the Juniperos, which is a 7.5 by 40. So they did release a Lancero. This one's
I love that Lancero, by the way. That thing is awesome. I think you and I smoked one when you came up here once or something.
It really was
like good. That's how memorable it was. Like I remember that we were together in the Havana Club, cigar club, when we smoked it.
Yeah, no, it was. And so this is a Corona Gordo he's introducing into the lineup.
Interesting. Yeah, because I wasn't high in his other sizes, but I love the Lancero.
I did like the other. Actually, he has a short Churchill in that one too. I liked a 6.5 by 48. But yeah, the Lancero was really good. This line, like I said, I think it's again very size specific in terms of how your sweet spot is going to come there. So
and it's pretty reasonably priced line too, from what I remember.
Yep, exactly. Not too bad. And again, it's not an overpowering blend. Lower priming tobacco is being used to get a very flavorful cigar.
Yeah, it is very. It's a medium bodied. I mean, it's not even like a solid medium. It's like a strong mild almost.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep.
And of course, I love the ECCJ. I think that's one of his favorites of mine anyway. And so what's he doing with the ECCJ?
Basically Dion's theme right now, no more limited editions. So anything that was limited, he's selected them back. The ECCJ is now coming back in both the ECCJ 15 and the ECCJ 20 size. So the first ECCJ was the 5 5/8 by 46, which was the 15-year anniversary. Last year was the 6.5 by 48 Churchill. That's coming back. And then he added a third size, a 5.5 by 50 Robusto. So I this blend I really, really enjoy, and I think it got me. I never appreciated the Epernay blend until I smoked ECCJ, which Epernay was based off that blend. So I think this is going to be, I think this is one of his most popular lines. So it's great to see it regular production now.
Right.
Yep.
So I think probably my favorite cigar from Dion is the Illusione Singulair 2010 Phantom.
And it's back.
I must have smoked at least a box of those.
And you're going to be able to get them.
That's awesome. That was a 2010 release. It was a 6x50. And I thought it was because it was kind of like a skinny Toro, which was great. It was just beautiful all the way around. I remember Stogie saying that I used to just smoke like back-to-back Phantoms because they were so good.
No, I mean, and this was probably, that was probably, for long you couldn't. He hasn't made them really in 6 years in that size.
But
well,
now,
they're coming back.
The Singulair, he released like a larger ring gauge a year or two ago in a limited release. Was that a Singulair?
The 14, which
Yes.
was the 5.5 by 54. So
yes.
the 10, the 14, and the 15 are coming back, along with a short Robusto called the Kadash. So there's going to be like that 4 sizes he's picked. But he's not bringing every one of the Singularities back, it appears. He's only bringing back the 10, the 14, and the 15.
Gotcha.
Yep. So I had like I said, really cool stuff there.
Yeah, if the Phantom is anything like it was when it came out in 2010, that is one you definitely want to get.
It's you're looking at this whole what he's rolled out here. It's really hard to poke criticism at anything here because it's really all these things are just positive. I think different things he's doing here. So I think it's great. The last thing he's doing is he has this line which a little more under the radar. It's called Cigar-Coop Preve, which is basically the way Dion did shop exclusives is he would ban them and box them in a common format with these blue bands called Cigar-Coop Preve, and he'd ship them out to various retailers. Well, he's basically going to keep the blends, and he's releasing 3 sizes as regular production. So one's a Nicaraguan Corojo Puro, or Corojo Wrapper Puro, and the other's a San Andreas one. The 3 sizes are 5x52, 5.5 by 56, and 6 by 60. I have, and it looks like the 5.5 by 56 is a box press, and I believe that's the one that originally went to Smoke In, which was the Pactum. So, and if you haven't smoked that cigar, I'm glad it's going regular production. That's another great blend, and that was in the San Andreas. So, this is again pretty good news for Dion moving away from the limiteds here.
Awesome, looking forward to all of it. And some news from General Cigar.
Yeah, so it's actually a big name, Michael Giannini. It was confirmed last night in an interview with Cigar Aficionado. We started hearing about this probably 2 days ago. I started hearing about it, but it was confirmed last night. Michael Giannini has left General Cigar. He's been with that company for almost 17 years. Rose up through the sales ranks. He was the brainchild behind some of the stuff they did with La Gloria Picubana about 5 or 6 years ago. Then he was the guy who was behind the Foundry brand, and he served as the creative director. Michael I had his critics, okay, because I think a lot of stuff he did people perceived as over the top, but I always felt Michael brought a fresh breath of air into the industry in terms of creativity. I'm not sure, what I know. It sounded, on the surface, it sounded like it was a friendly departure. I'm not sure what the reasons were other than, the reason they gave was Michael basically wanted, I think, to explore other opportunities. But I think it's still not a good thing in terms of, obviously not having Michael in the industry right now. He's very creative. But General will be fine. General's got a lot of good tobacco, and they got a lot of good people. They'll be fine as well.
Oh, and there is a General Cigar release that came out, Will. I haven't told you about this yet. I don't want to spoil it for the show, but I'll just say one of their new releases that was released under a different name before and is now what I think is very similar, the same tobacco under a different name, is absolutely phenomenal, Will. I mean, hands down box worthy. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, because it's something I enjoyed outside of cigars.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll have something to talk about on Monday with
Absolutely.
that, or our next Stogie Geeks with that.
Yes.
Yes.
I was really impressed. So.
Yep. So we won't spoil that.
And
but
the FDA did some checks on retailers to make sure there are no violations regarding age verification.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give here's the thing. Part of now the FDA having control of premium tobacco is they can now do age compliance checks, right? So even though local jurisdictions said you had to be 18 or over or 19 or over to smoke cigars or wherever, but the FDA never had the authority to run these checks, which they've done on cigarettes for years. So now they're starting to do it on cigars and other tobacco products. So there was apparently over the last month, there's been a bunch of these done. And they came up with 55, and I think everyone knows the story. They came up with 55 retailers. Most of them were convenience stores. Only a couple of them were considered premium cigars, and really they were flavored. So, a lot of people are saying, hey, look, we didn't get nailed for, hey, look, cigars aren't, and cigars aren't trying to market to children.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here and say, we don't know what those compliance checks, how they were targeted is my point. So it's possible that premium cigars weren't really targeted in this run of checks, and it's possible premium cigar stores weren't targeted. We don't know. So, I mean, the good news is obviously that premium cigars kind of came up, empty, and it's kind of proven a point. But, in terms of will there be more checks and, will they target cigars more? Wait and be seen.
Mm-hmm. It seems like the e-liquid and vaping had the most warnings.
They did, and a couple of them it was mail order too. So,
Interesting.
Which now, you can have, I don't know quite how, that's something I need to look up in terms of what's mail order need to do age verification. I think that's going to be a big topic over the next year.
Usually it's just a checkbox that says, make sure you're over 18.
But, I could tell you when we did a contest with Drew Estate, when we gave away the Velvet Rats, we've always done a Stogie Geeks age verification, and we basically have them check a box or sign something.
Right.
Drew Estate actually asked for copies of the driver's license, and you know what? Good for them.
Absolutely.
Stay in compliance there, and so I think that was a good thing with that.
Fantastic, Will. Well, that does it for the news this week. Thanks, Mr. Will Cooper. Thanks for listening and watching. Check out the Stogie Geeks Show every Monday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and visit cigar-coop.com for all the latest news and reviews. Thanks for watching and listening.